Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Scorpio August 2022 Illumination reading. This is I Am Illuminated Tarot, a place for you to better connect with and illuminate your own personal spiritual importance. And what does that mean? That means that in today's reading, we are going to be taking a look at a challenge that Spirit is asking you to face and overcome so that you can better engage with your unique spirit, that part of ourselves that rises up and out to meet the challenges we face so that we can better unlock our own heroic capabilities and those parts of ourselves that allow us to better see our path, feel our purpose, and get closer to those feelings of emotional fulfillment that come when we know where we fit, where we see where we can contribute to the greater collective experience. Okay, well, hi, Scorpio. Welcome to everyone, both new and returning. I'm going to go ahead and start to pull your cards here, and then we'll jump right into the reading. So let's see. So I want to say, as I'm pulling these cards, thank you to everyone who has continued to support my channel. I really appreciate it. This is a wonderful outlet in addition to my in-person practice, and I absolutely love reading. So this is just a joy for me to be able to do this. And I'm hoping that it can also be of service to some of you at the same time. Okay, so I love that what you're bringing, Scorpio, internally into the month of August is the Ace of Cups. That is the potential for new love. It's actually a reconnection as well to love of self, meaning that a lot of you are just connecting to that internal fountain of unconditional love that flows between source, spirit, and however you choose to experience that for yourself, whether you have a deep belief in God, whether you have a belief in just the connectivity of the universe, or whether you have, again, a more kind of esoteric experience of that. But for this purpose, I call it source spirit. So there's this lovely connection to that, to kind of tapping back into that place as well of what I like to call almost like emotional refreshment, where we realize that we don't have to be emotionally drained because we can always go back to that connection to source spirit, where we get that kind of additional flow of love and healing energy at all times. That's always kind of like on tap for us to tap back into. So we have the Ace of Cups and we have the Ten of Wands. And the Ten of Wands is a card of feeling like we're carrying a heavy load, but it's also one of closing out a cycle. It's the number 10, which denotes the ending, and then further breaks down to a 1 in numerology, which denotes also the beginning. So there's something here around, I think, really being able to see where you've been carrying a burden internally or possibly on an emotional level, and where it's time to let that go, to refresh yourself with that love for life, love for yourself, love for what you do and where you take action. And so as you can see here, we have the Ten of Wands, the closing out of a cycle, and then we have the Ace of Wands, which is the start of a new cycle, a new unburdened cycle. I love this for you guys. So this month, it's really connecting, as I'm seeing here. We have Pentacles, we have Wands, we have the love, the water energy coming through emotions. But specifically for you guys, there is the energy of reconnecting to your singular passion. What lights your fire? And with the Hanged Man coming up here underneath the Ace of Wands, I think for some of you, it's been a while. You've been kind of left in a holding pattern of, I think, where maybe you have not felt that connection, or maybe you've felt that you were in this process of kind of continuing a journey that other people's actions or the actions you had started to take were almost kind of like self-fulfilling to a certain extent. Like, well, I've taken steps down this way, so I have to just keep going. And we can get detached from our own personal inspiration, or even what initially started us on that cycle to begin with, on that path. And this, I think, is where for some of you there was this level of kind of, the Hanged Man speaks to having to have like a forced pause, that part of ourselves, or that part of our experience where we kind of feel like we're treading water. Yeah, things might be we might be moving forward in our experience, and we might be, experiencing growth in certain areas, but there's also this feeling of, how come I can't kind of break through in one area of my life? Or how come every time I try to put a little bit more energy here, I seem to almost go 2 steps back. I'll go 1 step forward and 2 steps back. And there's something here that's beautiful about the Hanged Man energy, that you're held in that place until you're ready to see something from a new perspective, meaning that you're held in that place until you're ready to go out again. And that's what allows you to, I think, for some of you, capitalize on something in your external environment where you've been kind of, 7 of Pentacles speaks to where you've been kind of sitting there saying, should I continue to invest in this? It could be something that you had worked on previously. It could be, career growth where you currently work. It could be a hobby that you had really gotten into and dedicated a lot of time and energy. It could even be a family or a home environment. But now you're sitting there reevaluating that, saying, it's a chance to be able, and I think that this is what has come out now, because the Hanged Man is a forced pause to see something from a new perspective. And the 7 of Pentacles is one where we actually get a chance to step back and take a look at the physical, tangible results of where we've put time and effort into something. And I think for some of you, you might have been looking at those results for a while thinking, I don't know. Or maybe I can't tell if this is giving me the results that I do want. And there's something about having had to wait for a while, that something in your experience has changed, that there's something here now kind of allowing you to, I think, internally release a burden you had been carrying, probably externally for some time. And you're able to release it first internally and have almost this kind of like element of, I feel like with the Ace of Cups, is cleansing on an emotional level of all the stuff you've kind of held on to, whether this is what the burdens of what you felt other people put on you or the burdens that you put upon yourself. And that now it's because you've come to this place, because you've come to this kind of like emotional cleansed place, you're able to see now, I think, the results of something you've taken effort towards, but you see it in a new way. And you're seeing it in the way where now you're optimistically going to step into the energy of the Page of Pentacles and add to what you've already started. So this can be like maybe where you had a hobby and you had dedicated a lot of time and energy to it, and maybe you had put, that hobby on the back burner. And now you're realizing, wait a second, that was the thing that connected me to feeling alive or feeling like I had the chance to connect with others who were inspired by the same things as me. Or I remember now that I did want to have this home, even though maybe the relationship that got me to this point didn't work out in the way that I wanted. I did want to have this safety and structure and the comfy home to come back to. And now instead of maybe looking at this as just part of an ex relationship, I'm looking at this now as something that I get to grow for myself. So there's something here around looking at something in your external environment that you had worked on and wondered, what should I do with this? And now you're rededicating yourself to it. And in that rededication, that's where the inspiration comes from. That's where the fresh start, the new cycle, connected to your passion, not to the passion of others, but to the passion that lies within you, your unique passion, the spark that you bring, your magic wand. It's also could be too, that's for some of you, you get this almost like overnight aha moment, because this can also be that divine moment of inspiration, inspired awareness, inspired creativity. And this is a really pivotal month for you, Scorpio, in that if you can allow yourself to kind of go forward with this youthful, optimistic energy again towards something that you had already put somewhat of a foundation towards. 7 of Pentacles does denote you have kept going. You have kept putting energy and time towards something. And now you're at a point where if you dedicate yourself truly, you can level up to the 8 of Pentacles, which the 8 of Pentacles would then be where you are mastering that, where you are getting into a point where you are really working on building a structure in that area that's going to lead to a level of independence and a level where you will be able to actually appreciate the hard work that you've put into building whatever you're building. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and so we're going to pull cards out to really take a look at the challenge. So I can see the challenge you're facing is really being able to commit to something, to see something in a new way that maybe you had kind of been doubting for a while, and now to commit to it and reconnect to your own unique passion, minus the burdens of this past cycle. But there's also, I'm sure, going to be another challenge here. We're going to see what the block is and you being able to rededicate yourself to something in your life. Let's see, what is Scorpio facing as far as their block? Okay, so we have there's the Hanged Man again. Okay, so double confirmation. Yeah, for some of you, I think you're having a hard time coming out of this kind of place of a forced pause. Meaning that, when we think about it, if we've been kind of in a holding pattern for some time, when we actually get that kind of feel to, okay, it's time to kind of come down off of the tree, I'm seeing something in a new way. But when you come back down, it's like you literally have to come back down to earth. And now you have to, we have pentacles here. Now you do have to put the energy towards something. Now you do actually have to commit to the new perspective you saw as you were hanging upside down. And that can be scary because it means now, well, what does that mean? We have the Princess of Swords coming up after this, which is the Page of Swords in the traditional tarot. And that's where we're going out to find context. Okay, what is this new truth I've discovered, and where is it going to fit into the greater experience for myself? Okay, so let me have Strength at the heart of your reading, Two of Pentacles. We'll get a final card here. But there's this feeling of, when I come down, I'm going to have to, that a new cycle is starting. That a new journey is happening for you, even though you're rededicating yourself to something that is tied to the previous cycle. There's an element here of doing it in a different way, of having a fresh perspective, and doing it in a way now that is actually reigniting the original passion, the flame within you that you had used when you had started the first pentacle, when you had seen there was an opportunity and you had put time and effort into growing it into 7 pentacles. So, but with the Page of Swords, there's this element of kind of having to go back out there again, also with the beginner's mindset of, okay, well, where does this new perspective fit? If it's almost like trying to see the bigger picture, and yet you can't quite, because you don't, we often will work towards something with a specific goal in mind, but how that goal manifests tends to be very different than what we had originally wanted to work towards. And that's where we kind of have to keep ourselves open to the fact that this is the start of a new cycle, the start of a new journey, but it's one where we get to capitalize on the hard work we've already put into something. And that's where strength comes in at the heart of your reading. This is what Spirit's asking you to embrace to help you overcome the challenge of coming down from this place of a forced pause, coming down from this place of kind of stagnancy, and to come back down and get to work. And the beauty of the Strength card is that it harnesses the energy of Leo, and we are in the sign of Leo for the majority of this month in August. Leo really speaks as a sign to getting into that place of heart-centered leadership and really being able to shine from that place of love for yourself, love for who you are. And it also speaks to understanding the strength it takes to love yourself, to understand with this Ace of Cups what is unique about you that you need to honor as you move forward to rededicate yourself to something. Four of Swords, okay. Because on the other side of strength, we have the Two of Pentacles. And the Two of Pentacles speaks a little bit to the energy of juggling our day-to-day tasks, but also having to make a choice as to where we prioritize our time and energy. And with the Page of Pentacles coming up here, there is definitely something about knowing where you want to prioritize your time and energy. So this would be like rededicating yourself to a hobby or to a career path or to something in your life. It could even be to finding new romance. This could be to saying, I really want, yes, I might have built the structure for a previous partnership and it didn't work out, but I'm going to double down and continue to build the foundation for the future partner that's going to come in. And I'm going to prioritize that. Same thing with this is a hobby. This could be very much like you're saying, okay, I put down, working towards my Etsy shop. I had made all of these hand created items. And you know what? I remember why I started doing this. It was for the love of what I created. It was so that I had my own little outlet of creativity. And I'm going to go back out, reopen my Etsy shop, and I'm going to double down on me committing to this. So if every day I'm going to pencil in a half an hour at the end of the day to work on my project or to build out that Etsy shop. So it's allowing you to refocus in a way now that's anchoring you back to who you are, the eternal flame that lies within yourself. And then we have the Four of Swords. And the Four of Swords is your final challenge. This is where you get a chance to rest, reflect, and be able to find your truth. So these two cards, the Princess of Swords and the Four of Swords, are intrinsically linked. This is you going out to say, well, where does my truth fit into the greater collective? But this is where you get a chance to sit there and say, I know I will figure that out. But what I really need to figure out is what is my truth, minus all of the wounds from the past, all of those negative experiences that haunt me on a mental plane. All of those things where somebody told me I wasn't good enough, or where somebody told me that if I followed this passion, it would never lead to anything, or where a person in my life told me that I wasn't lovable. You fill in the blank, but there's a point here where you get a chance to stop and find your truth and put the other ghosts of these kind of negative thoughts that haunt you and that prevent you from moving forward and dedicating your time and energy towards something. You put those to rest and you say, no, I see my truth. And when you find your truth among those negative thoughts, that's when the clarity comes from realizing when we know our truth and we feel our truth, that's where success ultimately comes from. That clarity that says, I see who I am, and I'll have the strength to let the rest kind of fall into place, to let the rest, we don't always need to see the final outcome. We just need to go off of what we feel we love about ourselves, this fresh connection, this fresh energy to love, and where we feel passion. And when we prioritize that and we have the strength to prioritize that, it's almost like you're seeing your whole life experience from a new perspective to say, what if I actually just flipped this all around, and instead of looking at this like a burden I have to carry from other people or other things outside of myself, I get to see this as, what is the burden I've been carrying internally? How can I put that down and just go out there and enjoy life from a place of being authentic to myself, prioritizing that in the physical and allowing my truth to shine through where I choose to place my energy. Time and energy. I really like this for you guys. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull some clarifiers. So we're going to jump in here and see a little further down what's going on with you guys. So let's see about this Hanged Man. Actually, I'm going to pull a card here for the Ace of Wands. I really like this connection to this fresh inspiration. I want to get a little bit more information around that. So what is this reconnection to self? Okay, well, there's the Ace of Wands again. Okay, it's about as double confirmation as you can get. So it's just literally reconnecting to passion for life, the passion that whatever it is that when you think about doing it, it's like, that's why I'm here. That's what I want to feel every day. Well, this month you have the ability to prioritize that in all aspects of your experience. Okay, so let's go ahead here and pull some cards for the Hanged Man. I also feel like this month, this is all about you reconnecting to a passion for yourself. And there's also going to be, I think, a big, almost like an aha moment that comes through where it's almost like, wow, this can be so much easier than I thought. Why have I tried to make this so difficult? Why haven't I prioritized this earlier? Okay, and I see here. So the Hanged Man, we have Ace of Coins and Five of Coins. Yeah, so for some of you, there is an opportunity here, but you've been seeing the opportunity from a limiting mindset. The Five of Pentacles is one where we look at this and we say, if I go after this, I might be left out in the cold. I might not have enough. I might not be able to pay my bills if I put time and energy and resources. If I take this opportunity and I start to kind of double down on it and add it, if I start to refocus, it would be like saying, if I refocus again on a hobby that I've long been doing, then it might actually take me away from growth in my 9-to-5 work world. And if I do that, that might leave me out in the cold. Or maybe I want to prioritize my hobby or my side, gig. And in doing that, I might end up having to walk away from my 9-to-5, and then I'll be left out in the cold and not be able to pay my bills and all of this. Instead of seeing it from a new perspective of saying, you know what, I have the time and energy. This is what connects me to life. And this is the opportunity. Everything else kind of be damned, so to speak. That this is where it is for you. And I think it's getting past the lack mindset that I'm not going to have enough, or that others, that this could be like following a hobby that, your parents had, looked down on. This could be like saying, I want to play video games and I want to be, somebody on Twitch who gets 1 million followers. And, your parents look at that and say, you're just going to play video games for the rest of your life? Yeah, good on that one. Go try. Yeah, you're probably going to fail. And, who plays video games as an adult for a living? And this is like saying, well, you know what? It's what connects me to life. I love it. It's what inspires me. It's what I can't wait to come home and do. And the one thing I have realized in my own experience, and actually in talking to many people, not only that I know on a personal level, but also on a level of, people that I work with as well, that when we follow our inspiration, our unique passion, and we couple that with the joy, the love of doing it, the love for ourselves that we have when we allow ourselves to indulge in that, and the faith that we have these inklings to do something for a reason, these calls, these things in our life that actually bring us these moments of passionate feeling, that when we follow that, often that's where the flow of abundance comes in naturally, because we're just having fun, because we're connecting on a subtle level to the energetic source that literally powers everything. And when we do that, we are in flow. We're not blocking it. We're not blocking it by the things we tell ourselves we have to do, or by the influences of others. We're simply just in flow with what and who we were created to be. And I like with the Princess of Swords, we have the Queen of Coins, so the Queen of Pentacles. That really speaks to, I think some of you are trying to search out, if this is my new truth, then, and I focus on nurturing this, what is it going to bring me in return? And the realization is, when you think about a mother who has a child or is pregnant and having a child, she doesn't sit there and say, well, if I nurture this child, what is this kid going to give me 25 years down the line? No, instead, she just, through the love of that child and the love of her experience in having that child, she's going to put the time and the energy needed into not only going through the pregnancy in a healthy way, but then also to raise that child as best as she can, with the understanding that the reward she gets is in the everyday interaction. And that is, for some of you, I think, the big realization of, it's not about looking 10 years down the line to say, is this going to make me $1 million? It's saying, I'm going to do it because I love doing it and because I see this as an opportunity. Somebody else might not see it as an opportunity, but I see it as an opportunity. And if you can get to that place, that's where the Six of Wands comes in. That's where the recognition comes in. That's where being seen for what you are nurturing comes into. So there is this element, I think, for some of you of really needing that recognition, of wanting that level of success towards where you put your time and energy, but not understanding, there's an element here of, but is that going to happen? There's a lack of clarity. Can I be seen in that way? And with strength coming in, it says you just need to have courage to quietly be yourself, courage to put one foot in front of the other. And I love it. So this is double Leo energy. We have the King of Wands coming up for strength. The King of Wands is stepping up into the CEO energy. He's someone who's mastered working with his passions. He's ready to go out there, take charge, and do it. And he's very fond of the limelight. He wants to be seen. With the Nine of Wands coming up, the Nine of Wands speaks to, this is the card before the Ten of Wands. Nine of Wands is a card of burnout. It's a card of like, I don't know if I can do one more thing. It's been a long process. This is saying have the strength to go the final step, because that's where you get to step in to mastering, working with your passion, taking action from a place of passion. You close out a cycle, and you not only start with the Ace of Wands, but you are also the King of Wands. There's something here about really stepping up into a level of mastery in your life and working with your passion and allowing yourself to go to that place. Okay, and so for the Two of Pentacles, you have the Magician and the Nine of Coins. The Magician is obviously one of really understanding our own magic, and that how we use our resources is up to us. That's where the magic comes into life. We're all equally able to work with the physical aspects of our experience, our emotional side, our mental side, and our passions, but what we bring to that and how we choose to mix those together is unique to us. The Nine of Coins speaks to that level of independence, that level of physical, financial, security that we seek for ourselves, and that level where we can just step back and really enjoy the work that we've done. And I think for some of you, it's in the realization of the magic that you bring to working with the ingredients we all have the ability to work with, that is where the level of independence is going to come in. That the opportunity to get to here comes through you prioritizing something that will allow you to finish out a cycle you've been working towards, and allow you to finish out a cycle in a place of a very empowered place with the King of Wands coming in. And this also speaks to both the Nine of Wands, and these both harness the energy of Leo as well. There's something here around kind of also shifting, having the strength to shift into the highest energy. So this can be kind of like the weary, wounded warrior, almost like the martyr card. And there's this element here of kind of shifting that and saying, are you the weary, wounded warrior, or are you the master? Are you the CEO? Are you the one who understands your passion and understands what you can create? So there's an element of kind of, I think, having the strength to get out of the kind of victim mindset and moving into this highly empowered mindset and really committing from that place. Okay, so let's see. Let's get some additional cards here for the Four of Swords. What does Scorpio need to know about the Four of Swords? And really being able to reflect on their truth. That's a little too much. There we go. Okay. Seven of Swords. Yeah, Seven of Swords is a card where it's a card of avoidance. It's a card where we don't really, Two of Coins. So I think for some of you, as you're reflecting on finding your truth, you're also really not wanting to make this decision with the Two of Coins. There's a level of trying to avoid making that choice, because I think that once you make that choice, And once you feel that, you realize that truth for yourself and you reconnect to this passionate part, you know that there's no going back. And that can be, a scary thing to face, because you're admitting to yourself that you want something very much, that there's something that you are willing to change up your whole life, invest in your own life in a different way, start approaching life in a different way. And yeah, that might mean that eventually you're going to have to walk away from that security of a 9-to-5 job, or you're going to have to even just tell your significant other, yeah, I actually just really want to play video games and be a Twitch personality. Or you might have to tell your parents that you're going to move from this country to go travel the world and starting next month. And it's something that's integral to who you are. You've long ago set up the plan to do that. And now you're in a place to finally make use of it. But it means that you're going to have to prioritize your time and energy in a different way. Maybe you're not going to be able to see your family as much as you had once seen them. There are things here about really focusing on getting to that place of understanding that there is a decision that needs to be made this month, a decision of prioritizing where you put your time and energy, and really coming from a place of it's time to close out a previous cycle and start one fresh, but with a new perspective and an eye to, I'm going to do this for myself this time around. And I'm not going to try to avoid making that decision. I'm going to level up and master what I've already been somewhat committed to building a foundation for in my physical experience. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull 3 additional cards here for the concepts of curiosity, courage, and contemplation. And we're going to get some additional advice from Spirit before I pull our final card. So we're going to see here where Spirit would like you to stay open and curious to for the month of August. And this is really speaking to us harnessing the energy, the beneficial energy of curiosity. Because curiosity is what keeps us going. It's what keeps us curious about what's down around the next bend in the road. It keeps us moving forward on our path. It also allows us to have a channel directly to Source Spirit, for Spirit to come in and kind of just whisper in our ear, like, hey, have you looked over here? Have you considered this? So we get also to get into that place of kind of continual awe and wonder at our life. We get a chance to really be present in the moment, to be curious about where are we going to meet our new best friend? Where are we going to meet the next business partner? Where are we going to meet the next love of our life? And it keeps us engaged in the moment with who we're engaging with, the choices we choose to make. And it really is that kind of getting into that beautiful place of remembering we don't know everything. And that's the beauty of life. That's the beauty and the mystery. And it's where miracles actually can occur if we allow them in. Okay, let's see. What does... Okay, all right. So we have Angel of Balance and Strategy. Okay, so Angel of Balance. Number 48, breaking down to number 12, which to me is the number of divinity and divine timing. Also breaks down further to number 3, which is about being seen. It's about creativity, and it's about greeting life with the energy and innocence of a child. But it also speaks to me really of, this card always seems to harness the energy for me of the, I'm totally forgetting. Card of Libra in the major arcana, Justice, the Justice card, where there's an element here, especially with the blue coming through. The blue energy really speaks to our throat chakra, but it also speaks to the energy of spiritual healing, and to me connects to the number 6, which is about love. It's about also working together with others for a common spiritual goal. So there's an element here of bringing, I think, your life into balance. And the timing is now with that number 12 coming through prominently. But there's a strategy. Notice this also breaks down to number 3. It's kind of interesting because actually 48 breaks down to a 12, and then we have 21. So they're mirror opposites, both breaking down to a 3. And then we have 2 3s equaling a 6. So there's an element here of, for you guys, balancing strategy. So when we think about, leveling up to the Eight of Pentacles by adding this one pentacle to the Seven of Pentacles here, there's an element of mastery, of kind of putting our head down and starting to really dive into getting the processes and, in place to make something happen. And that does involve some type of strategy, but there also is a balance between strategy, meaning putting things in place to have a specific outcome, and also being able just to do something for the sheer love of doing it, for the sheer love of just being seen for someone who does this and is able to come out and openly say, this is me. This is what I love about myself. This is what I love about my life. This is what I'm passionate about. This is where I'm putting my time and energy. And I think for some of you about this month, it's about being curious as to where you can, yes, balance strategic placement of your energy, making the choice as to how you are prioritizing your time to prioritize a rededication to something that really sparks this flame within you, this passion. But also, where can you let go of possibly needing a specific type of recognition for what you do? Meaning, yeah, you might go on Twitch and start playing games and you might get 5 followers. But is that going to stop you from continuing to dedicate yourself? There's an element here of not getting tied down to the result. It's more about getting tied down to what sparks your flame. I mean, this is double confirmation. This is all about what lights your fire. And that here at the heart of your reading, if you have the strength to keep going, the strength to do what you need to do, that's what's going to bring everything into balance and allow this part of yourself to naturally be seen, which is going to, I think, this is the start of a new cycle for you guys, but it's going to be a start of a new cycle where you're going to be seen in a different way and you're going to start to attract to your own self things that are going, people, places, environments that are going to support this new connection to passion, this new dedication, this rededication to what you want to build. You're going to attract others who want to build it with you. So be curious as to where you can kind of just release your tie to results and where you can bring into balance just the love of the spiritual love for your experience and honoring that by just prioritizing what you want to do for yourself. What does light that fire within you? Okay. Now I'm going to pull a card here for the concept of courage. And this is where Spirit would like you to have the courage to take action this month. So what does Scorpio need to know about having the courage to take action? Okay. Oh, I like it. So we have 2. We have surrender to creativity. It says, let your imagination soar. Stay open to all creative ideas about how to pursue a dream or solve a problem. And I love that because this is also kind of with going back to the Hanged Man. You might have only seen that you could honor a part of yourself, a creative part of yourself in a specific way, or the part that connects you back to this passion. But now you're realizing you can bring this part of yourself into your current life experience in other ways as well. That it's not about kind of tamping down this part of yourself simply because maybe you haven't been able to have some success in some area that you've been trying to bring it into. It's about saying, I'm going to bring it into all aspects of my experience. That's the King of Wands. He has the strength to bring his passion into everything he does, be it his 9-to-5, be it his side gig, be it his relationships. It does not matter. He's coming and bringing uniquely who he is and what he's passionate about into everything he does. This would be like if he was wildly, let's just pick a random thing. He was really into knitting. And he would go home and he would just knit in his spare time, loved knitting and crocheting, would watch endless hours of other people doing this, maybe online, joined knitting circles and crochet circles. And maybe now he's just getting back into the love of doing it because of what it connects him to. Because as he's doing that, he is connecting to that spiritual side to himself. He gets lost when he's knitting. His mind goes to those creative places, and suddenly he realized, you know what? I'm going to just knit a little, cup cozy for every single one of my fellow employees at work, because this is something that inspires me and I think it's great. It's actually something that's very sustainable, so people don't have to use the little cup warmers, and they can put it in their purse or backpack and keep it with them. And I'm going to just start there because it's for the sheer love of this part of myself that I'm expressing. And then that could in it of itself lead to something more. Maybe you have a friend who says, wow, these are awesome. Have you thought about, making these on a larger level? Or, I have a whole sustainable practice on the side. I'd love to have a few of these because I feel like it fits in with that. And that's the thing. We don't know where, when we start to follow our passions, we just kind of bring it in for the sake of bringing it into our life experience, where that will lead and what that will open us up to. So really just surrender to creativity, surrender to just bringing this part of yourself into every part of your experience this month and see where the energy takes you. And then we have surrender the idea you can fix someone. It says it's time for a relationship to shift. It doesn't work to try to fix someone. Each person must be accountable for his or her own healing. And I love that because sometimes we can get into this place, especially when we're working around with our passions, and that there can be someone in our life who maybe at one point had told us that if we work with this part of ourselves, it's not going to give us the result that we want, or that it's not good enough in their eyes. And this is where we have to kind of dig deep and realize it's not about proving to someone that what you're doing is right and fixing their perspective. It's about realizing that we live our own individual unique experience. And when we kind of, with the Four of Swords, when we drop all of those perspectives and opinions that have been put on us from others that influence our own ability to see and experience our truth, that's where we get to really just tap into the flow of enjoying life from a place of creativity and stepping into that flow of when it just feels like everything is just kind of aligned. Remember, everybody has their own experience. And for somebody, that whole perspective of what you want to do doesn't work for them. Well, that's because something else in their life, it doesn't work for them. And we don't have to prove to them that it does. We just simply have to get to this place of realizing I'm just honoring myself. I'm just loving who I am. And in a way, it's also loving another to let them have their own opinion as well without having to kind of waste your own precious energy fighting against it. All right. So now, something I have to always keep in mind myself is, I I have a lot of placements in Taurus, so I can be a very stubborn individual at times. And I always have to remind myself that, I have to just kind of keep my eyes on myself. And I don't need to be stubborn in a place to convince others of anything, because their perspective is just as valid as mine and just as needed in its own way. We are a world of opposites and harmony and the balance that comes from those opposing factors. And we need all sides of a situation. We need all sides of an opinion. We need all sides of a perspective. And so we can allow others to have theirs while we take pride in ours. And that's really where that Leo energy is coming from so strongly there. Okay, now for this final card, we're going to see the point for contemplation. So this is where Spirit would like you to reflect on for the month to kind of ground this message, so you can kind of just keep it in the back of your mind as you go through August. And it says, deep replenishment, retreat, rest, be held. I love this. This is a card. I know it's not always the most fantastic card from this deck. Everybody wants to have warrior woman come out or, one of those kinds of things. But you got that last month, I think, guys. But deep replenishment, there's this element of just coming back to this place of the wellspring, of that place of the Ace of Cups where Spirit is just holding you in that beautiful, unconditional love for who you are. And then you get a chance to do that for yourself as well. You get a chance to be held and to have this moment of rest where you get to kind of clear the decks and move forward with who you are and what you want to connect to in life. And it's the beautiful energy of kind of being suspended like you have been, appreciating it, not kind of fighting against or struggling, and being able to come out of it as this rejuvenated version of yourself. Okay, I'm going to pull one clarifier here. Actually, I'm going to pull a couple of clarifiers. I want to pull a piece of advice for strategy and angel of balance. Let's see here what Spirit has to say about that before we pull our final card. Okay, it says Mouse Spirit, tend to the small things. Number 40, breaking down to a 4, the building of foundations. Okay, so I like that. There's a focus here, again, bringing it back to the small things. We don't need to have the bigger picture. We don't need to have the massive, if I put time and energy towards this, it has to equal X, Y, and Z. This is about coming back to those small things. So let's say you do want to have a Twitch channel and you want to play video games for a living. Well, then it's time to attend to those small things. Attend to the day-to-day tasks, the 2 of coins. Start to prioritize a half an hour or an hour of every day to building the channel, to finding the games that you want to play, to practicing maybe your public speaking and how you narrate as you play, to finding your voice. It's all these little things that come back to your uniqueness. Or this could be if you're maybe going back out into the dating world, to brush up on some of your dating profiles, or to tend to the small things, to take a look and say, I'm going to look at my budget and see how much I have to maybe put out, for me to go out once a week to some, local whatever, and to put myself in a place where I'm going to meet other people. But it's about getting back to those small step-by-step strategic, baby steps, not the giant overarching, I have to be married and have 4 children and have a home that looks like this by this time. And if I don't have it within this time, well, then I'm going to give up on it. It's saying no, to bring this into balance, just start in the small things, implementing this passion every day, just a little bit. Bring it in. Baby steps. Okay, now I'm going to pull a card here for your point of courage. Oh, we have 3. So we have Porcupine Spirit, time for beginner mind. Number 48, again, breaking down to 12, breaking down to 3 further. Stag Spirit, take the lead, 58, and that breaks down to the number 13, which is your number in the tarot, speaks to death and transformation and the building of a new firm foundation when we can release something. And then we have Dragonfly Spirit, truth transcends illusion, master, number 22, also breaking down to number 4, another firm foundation. So lots of 3s and 4s here. I like this and that it says time for a beginner mind, and that really speaks to the surrender to creativity. It's time to kind of just see what comes out this time around. It's like playing with a creative part of yourself or a passionate part of yourself that you haven't used in a while, and it's time to see now, to get into this kind of Page of Swords. Where does that fit? Let's find out. And then we have to take the lead. Taking the lead is allowing yourself to really get to that place of leaving the people behind that you feel like maybe you have to fix or prove something to, and saying, I don't need your approval, and I don't need to force you to see things in the way that I see things. I'm just going to take the lead and start living from my passion, start living from this place. And then the truth transcends illusion. I love that because that's what comes through here. The truth is going to transcend all of the illusions that come from the opinions and the thoughts that come from other people that have been placed on us. The truth of who we are will come through based on what we're willing to build for ourselves, where we're willing to put our time and energy into what we want to build. Okay, and then for a final point here, we have deep replenishment, retreat, rest, be held. Let's see if there's anything that's going to come through for that as a final piece of advice from Spirit. Oh, 2. Okay, so we have Chameleon Spirit, act as if, number 14, breaking down to a 5, the number of change. And then we have another 3, Armadillo Spirit, set healthy boundaries. And I like this because there is something here about the retreat, rest, be held, and setting healthy boundaries. It's Setting the boundaries against those who don't put you into a place of feeling restful, who don't allow you to be yourself. It's also putting up boundaries just on a mental and spiritual level of just saying, I'm not going to go down that path anymore. I'm not going to go down that path of remembering the negative things somebody said in a past relationship to me. I'm going to set up boundaries against that person that I know is going to come in and be the naysayer. And then I like the act as if. It's like, no, just act as if this is what's going to happen in your life. This is who you are. You are someone who enjoys playing video games and is going to be someone who does that for a living, who brings that, who is passionate, who wants to find other people who want to talk about the latest game that they're playing, who want to have the tips and tricks, who want to talk about, the funny things they've noticed. And you're just going to have fun doing it. Just be yourself. That's where change starts. Change starts first when we act as the person that we want to be, meaning we act as if we already have that perfect partner. We act as if we are the partner who's going to attract the right person to ourselves. We don't instead sit there and wait like, well, when I meet the person, that's when I'll be happy, and that's when I'll have a secure home life, and that's when I'll have all these things set in place. Like, no, get everything, tend to the small things now. Get the whole setup for what you want and allow it to come in the way that it will. And that's going to happen if you can just be comfortable in your own skin. Act as if you already have what you want in your experience. And then let spirit come in and find a creative way to help manifest it for you. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and pull a final card here. And this is going to be for the overarching spiritual lesson you're learning this month. And I'll go ahead and I'll read the full excerpt from the book that comes with this oracle deck so you can get a final message from someone other than me. All right. So what does Scorpio need to know about their overarching spiritual lesson for the month of August here? Okay, I love it. Master healing. This has been coming out a lot for signs this month and last, but I love that it's master number 33. That speaks, there's so many threes coming through here. It's like incredible. Further breaks down to the number 6. Again, that number of love and spiritual purpose and harmony. I love it. Okay. So it says, master healing. As you meditate, remain true to what inspires your heart and commit to your spiritual path. You become an increasingly powerful healer. You are here to live your own life, to be true to what genuinely moves you. The unconditionally loving guide and ascended master, Serapis Bey, comes to you now with the blessing of master healing to further your success on your path. The Master Serapis Bey is a beloved guide for those who feel a strong soul connection to ancient Egypt, for healers who are developing their own modalities, and those who love to work with high-frequency concepts. He also assists with the translation of spiritual inspiration into practical worldly plans. He comes to confirm that the Ascended Masters are aware of you. You are an integral part of a powerful spiritual team that has taken physical incarnation to help awaken consciousness into love. And that really is speaking here with the inspiration and the love coming through. You are asked to tune into your heart. What do you love enough to overcome any obstacle to obtain it? What motivates and inspires you? Not what seems possible or practical, but what is authentic. We are most powerful when we serve authentically from the heart. A bird might learn how to dive underwater from time to time, but it is never going to be at its most powerful if it has to live underwater. It would struggle to thrive if it were to force itself into such unnatural expressions of its life energy. The bird yearns to fly because that is its divine nature and purpose. You too have divine nature and purpose, and your heart holds the clue. What feels most like you? It is difficult to access the truth of our own nature when we believe we should live up to the expectation of others. If we are attached to an outcome or afraid of an answer, we can unintentionally block our perceptive faculties, a spiritual version of sticking our fingers in our ears and shouting blah, blah, blah. The blessing of Serapis Bey includes his clear flame of divine cleansing light. This can assist us in letting go of whatever blocks us from knowing the truth of our nature. When we are willing to be who we are, the universe can more easily guide us to fulfill our destinies. Serapis Bey will help you see yourself truthfully. You may gain feedback from others that helps you understand the value of what you share. Or you may simply find it easier to view yourself objectively with a compassionate, appreciative, and discerning inner eye. As you learn and accept who you are, you become a more powerful vibration for masters to put to use in the plan of love. If you have a dream in your heart, know that it has been placed there for divine purpose. What you dream and desire contains the seed of divinity. It is meant to help attract your life mission and fulfill it with love, joy, creativity, and pleasure. If we are willing to go through what is necessary for an outcome, it will happen for us. The details may appear different from what we imagined they would, but the truth remains. If you ask for something and are willing to go through the process required to have that come to life, it will happen for you. The universe is that generous, unconditionally supportive, and loving of you. It is your creative partner. It will provide you with all that you need to manifest your dreams, desires, and destiny. Well, Scorpio, I don't think I could have summed this reading up better myself, so I will leave you with that. This is a time for you to be authentically you and to know that Spirit has your back, and that if you can let go of clinging to a result, that by just simply rededicating yourself to living from a place of authentic passion of what lights your fire and what you love, the rest will fall into place. All right, everyone. I hope you have, again, a wonderfully loving and authentic month of August. And if you'd like to book a personal reading or just learn more about myself and the services I offer, you can click on the link in the description box below. Otherwise, I will see you all in September's reading. Bye, Scorpio.